Trippier's free kick against Aston Villa earns third straight win for Newcastle. As Eddie Howe ran out of players to embrace and, wreathed in smiles, finally walked off the pitch, he looked up towards the director's box and blew his wife a kiss. If she had not already realized it, this was surely the day when Vicky Howe fully understood precisely why her husband wanted to be the manager of Newcastle United. 3 wins in a row have not merely lifted a once apparently doomed side out of the relegation zone, but breathed new life into a club transformed under their controversial new Saudi Arabian-led ownership. Played out against a backdrop of vigorously waved black and white flags and a soundtrack alternating between Eddie Howe's Black and White Army and Bladen races, this was an afternoon when, despite the chill February rain, anything seemed possible. Admittedly, Newcastle rode their luck a little in the second half, but with Kieran Trippier on their side, mid-table seemed to beckon. Trippier always seemed a very decent signing on Newcastle's part, but England's former Atletico Madrid right-back looks an even better buy almost by the minute. £12 million was spent on Trippier, as much for his crossing and dead ball acumen as his defensive attributes, and when his side won a free kick fractionally outside the 18-yard area, there was only one man for the job. That set piece was awarded after a VAR review had overruled Craig Pawson's initial decision to give a penalty after Callum Chambers sent the accelerating Joe Willock tumbling. If Villa were relieved, it proved an extremely temporary reprieve. Sure enough, Trippier, captaining Newcastle in Jamal Lascelles' absence, stepped forward to power his kick through the wall and, courtesy of a slight deflection off Emiliano Buendia, on past a wrong-footed Emiliano Martinez. Until then, Villa had largely succeeded in frustrating Howe's team. Pressing high and hard, Gerrard's players refused to allow Jonjo Shelvey and company time on the ball in midfield, while no matter where he wandered, the assiduously marked Alan Saint-Maximin was allowed precious little room for maneuver. Yet hard as John McGinn worked in the visiting midfield, and as undeniably successful as Villa were in forcing Newcastle to resort to sending Chris Wood chasing long balls and lost causes, they created very few chances of their own. A big part of that was down to Dan Burns' excellence at the heart of the home defense. The £13 million recruit from Brighton was making his debut in place of Lascelles, and on this assured evidence, the club captain may struggle to reclaim his place. Indeed, with Felipe Coutinho not so much tamed as rendered totally anonymous by Trippier's shadowing, Martin Dubravka was rarely called to arms in goal. Villa's attacking talent remained dormant until a potential watershed was reached 2 minutes into the second half. When, to collective groans, a calf injury forced Trippier off. Both Gerrard and Coutinho sensed opportunity. Emil Kraft had barely stepped off the bench before the latter was skipping away from him. Within seconds, Coutinho had unleashed a defense bisecting through ball, and although Ollie Watkins could not quite make the most of it, Howe and his assistant, Jason Tindall, exchanged anxious technical area glances. Such nervousness swiftly looked well-founded. Inspired by an apparently reborn Coutinho, Gerrard's attack were finally ruffling Byrne and company, and when Watkins headed the fallout from Lucas Dean's low cross and Coutinho's deflected shot beyond Dubravka, it appeared Howe's worst fears had been realized. In the event, VAR came to the Newcastle manager's rescue, its review detecting the tightest, most fractional, of offsides against Watkins. If Villa's striker was left possibly wishing he had clipped his toenails before kick-off, history was not on Gerrard's side. Villa had not won at St James Park since 2005, the day Newcastle's Kieran Dyer and Lee Bowyer engaged in an on-pitch fistfight, and their second-half improvement was never quite sufficient to change that narrative. A brief hiatus in the wake of an incident high in the Gallowgate end